Good evening. Ira Epstein with your SPDR ETF wrap-up. And this wrap-up is for the end of a trading month, March 31st, 2022, and the end of a quarter. So interesting times. You know, the big event of the day, obviously, was President Biden coming out and saying that the U.S. is going to release up to 1 million barrels a day out of our reserves. The problem is I'm reading about it. I'm not an oil expert. There's no way you can do it. We don't have the facility to release up to 1 million barrels a day. So, you know, maybe he means if Europe and other allies release out of their reserves, they can get up to 1 million. But I'm just telling you what I'm reading. Maybe I'm reading the wrong things, but that's interesting. It weighed on the market, but the biggest event is really the policies. And, you know, I saw that he laid it on the corporations that they are doing certain things wrong. They just want to pay back their shareholders. I don't know that that's completely true. He's flip-flopped on so many of his energy policies since he took office that I think there's great uncertainty as to whether or not you invest and suddenly the rug's pulled out from under you. Even if you start throwing money at everything right now, it doesn't come on right away. Another event to be looking at down the road is the price of copper. Both Goldman Sachs and the chair of Freeport McMoran is coming out, and what are they saying? They could see the price of copper double right now, and they couldn't get enough copper out of the ground because there hasn't been any development in a long time. And with the advent of all these electronic cars and other batteries, copper is a major element. You've got to be looking at this in a hard way. So you look at things like that, and you start putting them into your mind. What could this all mean? As we take a look at pro shares of the Bitcoin strategy, I wrote this here for you because as the market was up here the other day, I was saying to you, you know, gaps normally get filled. 28.39 would fill the gap. You started breaking, and today you're at 28.53. So you're 14 cents away from filling that gap. After that, I'll take another look, but I was looking at something else. Bitcoin itself is starting to lose what we call an embedded reading. Unless it gains it back tonight through tomorrow, be careful. If it loses it, there's more downside, probably back to the 18-day average of closes. If you look at the swing line on BITO, it's still bullish. It looks okay to me in terms of the trend is still being up. You can always fall back here to 26.86 for support. That's still above 26.31, the last break low. The resistance has come in between, as I thought it would, the 100-day average and the upper Bollinger Band. And here's your momentum. And when you reopen, you got to be careful. That momentum and the fact that you closed at the day's low means unless you were to gap sharply higher, if you just a steady to lower opening, you're going to lose that embedded reading. And if it stays lost, then it's saying, hey, prices are likely to make a run for wherever the 18-day average is at that point in time. Another market that I came out and I bragged about and said, I know a thing or two about movie theaters only because I owned one, okay? And owning one, I saw the problems with movie theaters. And when the market got up here again, I said, you know, folks, if you come back and you look again at these prices, this is where AMC, and they were bright to do it. They sold out a lot of debt. In other words, they put out bonds. They just gathered a lot of money. You were 2 days over the upper Bollinger Band. You started your move. This is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, okay? This is what you're coming into. Pretty interesting. I don't know why it says April 1st when it shouldn't. The market should say the 31st of March. I know what it is. It published a date, and I deleted the wrong one. I had 2 days. There's something that the vendor's doing wrong, and I'm trying to clean up the charts for you. So if you see any April 1st, I've removed by accident the March 31st, so they were the same date. Wouldn't it be neat if I had a charting service that gave me tomorrow's prices? I'd be gone. You wouldn't see me anymore. In Apple, you still have the embedded reading, but you got up here to a point where you got to watch it. There is bullish news developing in it. What is that? Notice that now the 18-day average is getting ready to go over the 100, the green. That would be a bullish crossover. It would also give you the shortest term average, the 18 over the 100, 100 over the 200. We were talking about XLF, and it had gotten up here with an embedded reading, and if it lost it, I think that a run could happen to the 18-day average of closes. It had to hold it on Wednesday there. and you can see what's happened. There's the market letting go, and you're back to the 18-day average for all purposes, lost the embedded reading. This play to the upside has run its course. Now, the market has to rebuild and do a lot of things for whatever the next play is. You're seeing this in a bunch of markets. Disney. I teach in my Enhanced Bollinger Band course. And by the way, if you want to learn about that, just take your cursor, move it up here. At any point, it'll take you right to the area where I speak about how you learn about Enhanced Bollinger Band course, what it does, how it ties together with slow stochastics from my point of view. It's not your normal Bollinger Band course, I promise you. It's the doctorate level of it. You got up here, you can see how you turn back. Okay, look where you're coming down to, back to the 18-day average. Don't you wish if you were long you had gotten out of it up there? Now we look at XLI, and be careful. Here too, you're right on the verge of losing the embedded reading. If that occurs, 18-day average is the likely target. So this is not a market that I'm comfortable with if I were you being long tonight. It's got a little bit of a problem. XSD, same thing. Look what's happening here. You lost the embedded reading. So this whole play to the upside peaked when you got up to the combination of the upper Bollinger Band 100-day average. We talked about it here, not after the fact. We did it that day. And here you go. You're losing the embedded reading. Probably run out of that momentum too. So is there a picture I'm seeing where this rally, remember I was saying, I question if we're going to go up for new highs in the stock market. I feel stupid sometimes because the chart action's so bullish, but I don't see how the fundamentals can drive the market to that number. I'm by myself maybe on that. In the home builders, they got the heck beat out of them today, down nearly 4%. Look what's happening. Mortgage rates are at new highs for 2-3 years. So they're shutting down that market. If you're looking at home values too, I was looking tonight as I was writing my newsletter, Australian home prices in Melbourne and Sydney starting to go that way. The rest of the country's still up, but when the two big cities go, it'll skew the averages. So you got to keep your eye on that. The energy sector, XLE, overbought, outside day down. Could be where the market now starts getting a better chart pattern. You had an outside day up here. When you take out the low of an outside day, it's an important signal. It often means you're going to go back to the closest moving average, main one, or a Bollinger Band, and that's just what this market did. Now it seems to need to restructure itself, and I think that's what's going on. In gold, we keep failing against the 18-day average of closes. What really happens tomorrow is if you take out today's low or don't take out today's high, either one, you get a fresh sell signal. And until you then go over today's high again, the market could drop and maybe you're coming back to that level. Gold stinks. I don't know what else to say about it. It has war, it has inflation, it has events I've never seen with the releasing of the energies worldwide, and it can't take advantage of the situation. In GDX, the gold miners, where are you going in this? Remember I used that word recently, porpoising? I'm an F1 freak. I love F1 racing and have all my life. I just love it. I tried racing as a young man. I would show up at the course, and by the time the sun went down, I might be finishing, okay? I had no skill at all, but did I love it? I'd hop on a plane on weekends, open wheel racing. Oh my God, it's so much fun. But on the other hand, when you look at all this, it's just whipping back and forth, doing absolutely nothing. COPEX, this is what I was saying. Long term, maybe you don't look at the daily chart. Maybe you go to the weekly chart. When I start hearing these fundamental stories from both brokerage firms and from producers, there's something to it. Sometimes you're too soon, sometimes it's already built in the market, but longer term it washes all that out. Keep your eye on this, because I, for one, think the world economies are going to get better, not worse, over time. Yes, higher interest rates could shut down things for a while. That's not going to bring more copper on down the road. So as I look at this, the trend is up unless you take out 44.90. The momentum's still an embedded reading. Should the market clear 46.25, I don't see anything to stop it from making an attempt at least at a run at the upper Bollinger Band. In TLT, I think this is where things peaked out today. So I've been looking for the market when it lost the embedded reading right here to get a run to the 18-day average. That's what I teach. And now I'm looking for the market to fail. I'm not bullish these markets. You got a Fed that's weeks away from starting to raise rates, other central banks. Inflation hasn't abated. Do you see any prices of anything going down? I don't. Energy, maybe. I do say that. Energy has fallen almost $30 from the high this month. That's a lot, but it's still $100. That's not cheap. Finally, UUP. You're going from the upper to the lower band and just bouncing. There's nothing to do in that market. So again, take this time out. Learn, take your finger up there, enhanced Bollinger Band course. You're going to get a whole new education on Bollinger Bands, and it's such a neat tool on stocks, options, futures, spreads, anything you can chart. Believe it or not, if you can put a Bollinger Band on it, the concept works. I've seen that over and over. Does everything work all the time? Well, I will tell you, this is something I've learned. Statistically, yeah, 95% of the time the market will trade within these bands. That's what the statistics are. I'm Ira. You have a good day. Welcome. I'm Ira Epstein, and I'm here to talk about my enhanced Bollinger Band course. Now, many of you have taken my regular charting course, and if not, you might think you know something about Bollinger Bands. As you know, Bollinger Bands are an algorithm designed to keep the market trading within it 95% of the time, and on a chart, it will offer on the top part resistance, on the bottom support, and the idea is the market will travel within them. We know that sometimes it latches onto that band, goes up or goes down. Well, how do you play with that? Can you pyramid the positions off that type of thinking? Well, I've applied all three of these into 13 different videos that teach you my concept of it. And from that concept, you're able to work with weekly charts and or daily charts. The 13 videos, each about 7 minutes long. The idea here is not to put you in school forever, but to teach. Now, if you haven't tried my complete futures research, I throw that in as well. Whether you've tried this or not, I think it's worth taking a look at. I think you're going to learn something from there. That research, by the way, covers twice daily market updates for you and access to what I call window envelope numbers, which I think are very important when looking at these Bollinger Bands. The next part is a trial to our charting software so you can make your charts look the same way that mine do. It's that simple. Where do you go with it and how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. If you go to the word education, everything you need is answered there. You can also call my staff. They'll be happy to help you get set up. I'm Ira Epstein on the road to your education.